The water that never stayed. The autumn sun filtered through the monastery's paper windows, casting gentle shadows across rows of ancient books. Young Kenji sat among them, his face troubled, his heart heavy with a question that had haunted him for months. Finally, he could bear it no longer. "Master Hiroshi," he said, his voice breaking the sacred silence, "I must confess something that troubles my soul." The old teacher looked up from his scroll, his eyes kind and patient. "For 3 years I have read every book you've given me," Kenji continued. "Philosophy, poetry, history, science. I've filled my days with words and wisdom. But Master," his voice cracked with frustration, "I've forgotten most of them. The details fade like morning mist. The lessons slip away like sand through my fingers." He gestured helplessly at the shelves surrounding them. "So what's the point? What's the point of reading if I can't even remember what I've read?" Master Hiroshi said nothing. He simply looked at his student with those deep, knowing eyes, eyes that had witnessed 7 decades of sunrises and understood the weight of unanswered questions. The silence stretched between them like a bridge Kenji couldn't cross. Days passed. The question hung in the air, unresolved. Then came a morning when the world seemed painted in gold. Master and student sat by the river that ran behind the monastery, the same river that had flowed for 1,000 years, carrying away time itself. The water sang over smooth stones, eternal and indifferent. Master Hiroshi suddenly pressed a hand to his chest. "Kenji," he said softly, "I'm thirsty. Very thirsty. Would you bring me some water from the river?" "Of course, Master." Kenji jumped to his feet, eager to serve. "But wait." The old man raised a weathered hand, pointing to something half buried in the grass nearby. "Use that strainer there, the old bamboo one." Kenji froze. He stared at his teacher, certain he'd misheard. "Master, a strainer. But that's full of holes. How can I—" "Please," Master Hiroshi said simply. "Try." Kenji picked up the old strainer, examining it in disbelief. It was ancient, darkened with age and dirt, its bamboo weave creating dozens of gaps. This was madness. Impossible. But he couldn't refuse his teacher. He knelt by the river's edge and plunged the strainer into the clear, rushing water. He lifted it quickly. The water poured out in sparkling streams, disappearing before he could take even 3 steps. He tried again. Faster this time, running from the river toward his master. The water escaped just as quickly. Maybe if I angle it differently, he thought. He tilted it, cupped his other hand underneath, even tried covering some holes with his fingers. Nothing worked. 10 times he tried, 20 times. His robes became soaked, his arms ached. Sweat dripped from his brow despite the cool autumn air. "Master, I'm sorry," he finally gasped, dropping the strainer at the old man's feet. "I failed you. It's impossible. The water won't stay. It can't be done." Master Hiroshi smiled, not with mockery, but with infinite gentleness. "Failed," he said quietly. "Look at the strainer, my boy. Truly look." Confused, Kenji glanced down at the bamboo strainer lying in the grass, and then he saw it. The old, blackened, dirt-encrusted strainer was gleaming. The water that had passed through it again and again and again had washed away years of grime. It shone in the morning light, clean and renewed, almost like new. Kenji's breath caught in his throat. "You see," Master Hiroshi said, placing a gentle hand on his student's shoulder, "you didn't fail at all." You thought your task was to hold the water, but that was never the purpose. The teacher picked up the strainer, holding it up to catch the sunlight. This is what reading does, Kenji. Yes, the details slip away. The specific words, the exact arguments, the particular facts, like water through a strainer, they pass through and seem to vanish. And you think this means the reading was wasted. He placed the clean strainer in Kenji's hands. But look what remains. While you read, your mind is cleansed of ignorance. Your spirit is refreshed with new perspectives. Your thoughts are oxygenated with ideas you never imagined. And even if you don't remember every word, even if you can't recall every lesson, you are being transformed. Master Hiroshi gazed at the river, watching it flow endlessly onward. The strainer never held the water, he continued, but the water made the strainer clean. You never hold all the knowledge, but the knowledge makes you wise. You never remember everything, but everything you read makes you more than you were. Tears welled in Kenji's eyes as understanding bloomed in his heart. That's the true purpose of reading, the old master said, not to fill your memory like a vessel, but to wash your soul clean like a strainer. Not to accumulate facts, but to transform who you are. Years later, Kenji would become a teacher himself. And when his own students asked him about the purpose of learning, about the frustration of forgetting what they'd read, he would take them to that same river. And he would tell them about a strainer that taught him the most important lesson he never forgot. We are not meant to hold everything that passes through us. We are meant to be changed by it. The end.